Walker County 911.
It's 2016.
We got a guy shot himself.
Okay, what did he shoot himself with?
A shotgun.
The man calling 911 says DJ Ficky took his own life.
How old is he?
I tried to get the gun. And it went off. And he had it in his mouth.
A medical examiner at the Georgia Bureau of Investigations ruled DJ Ficky's death a suicide.
And when you and your family heard that, what was your reaction?
No way.
Amanda Shirley is DJ's sister.
He was a good person. He had a big heart. He loved everybody. He never met a stranger.
She worried about her brother like most big sisters do. DJ was a prankster, she says, and sometimes got into trouble. But one thing she says he was not was suicidal. She was convinced someone else was to blame for her brother's death. When she brought her concerns to authorities,
I think they just assumed I was some stupid, uneducated person that didn't know what I was talking about. Just couldn't accept the fact that, my brother was gone.
months later, she turned to private investigator Eric Eccles for help in reopening DJ's case. Eccles listened to these 911 calls.
Where's the damage done to his head?
It's right in his mouth.
Went over dozens of crime scene photos and the autopsy, and says he knew investigators got it wrong.
They said DJ committed suicide by shooting himself on the left side of his face here in a downward angle with a shotgun. That was just unheard of.
And after years of pushing from the family and Eccles, a medical examiner from the state of Georgia changed DJ's manner of death. The GBI told Investigate TV Plus when additional information was brought to the ME's office, a medical examiner updated the manner of death to undetermined. Not what the family had hoped for.
Having that label of undetermined, did it feel frustrating?
It did. Families want answers. They shouldn't, they've already lost a loved one. They shouldn't have to have all these questions because undetermined is just wide open.
Undetermined. Coroners and medical examiners use that term when there is not enough evidence to point to an accident, natural cause, suicide, or homicide. In some cases, it's necessary. But in DJ Ficky's case, Eccles says it was clearly a homicide. And there was more than just physical evidence to prove it.
I'm having a hard time understanding how you're talking about he was holding the gun.
As part of the initial investigation, police questioned this man, Marshall Mark Payne, who was there at the time of the shooting and said it was a suicide.
I gotta hold the gun. I grabbed the gun like this, and I'm pulling, and he's trying to put it back to his face like that, and I'm pulling away.
Police also interviewed DJ's wife, who witnessed the shooting, but had a very different story.
It's intentional when you put a gun in the folks face to pull a trigger. That's intentional.
You saw Mark shooting, correct?
Not satisfied with the ruling of undetermined, Eccles used these videos to pressure authorities to take a closer look. Amanda started a Change.org petition that got 60,000 signatures.
You had to keep fighting.
You had to keep fighting.
They won that fight in 2020 when DJ's manner of death was changed to homicide. The investigation was back open, and 3 years later, Marshall Mark Payne, the man who made this 911 call,
We got a guy shot himself.
was arrested for murder.
It was a victory. It was huge. 7 years. 7 years is a long time. And that's all I did for 7 years. Woke up every day, and that was my determination, was to get this, get my brother's killer held accountable for his murder.
But how did such a mistake happen in the first place? Eccles says it began before an autopsy was even done. Sheriff's records show an investigator noted, quote, "I have no indication that this incident is anything other than a suicide." The scene had not yet been cleared.
It's not always solved at the autopsy table. It really depends upon the circumstances.
Dr. James Gill is Connecticut's chief medical examiner. He says an autopsy can't tell who pulled the trigger in a shooting, and the investigation done before a body reaches a morgue is key.
What kind of impact can this have on a community of getting the manner of death incorrect.
If it's a homicide and you're missing a homicide, then obviously someone is out there who could do it again.
Determining how someone died is up to either a coroner or medical examiner, depending on where you live. The CDC estimates as many as 30% of death certificates, while not necessarily inaccurate, have issues with completeness. Amanda and Eccles say if families believe there was a mistake, it's up to them to fight.
To fight a state, that's what we did. We fought a state. GBI is the state agency. We fought a county. We fought police departments. We did not give up.
I made a promise to my brother at the funeral home, and I made a promise to my family that I wasn't going to stop. He deserves his justice. He deserves his truth, and he's not here to fight for it, so somebody has to.